And here with us now is foreign policy expert Harley Lippman. Harley, thank you so much for joining us. We know that the situation remains tense as Mr. Trump continues to push for a ceasefire deal. Where do you think things stand right now?
It all comes down to what you heard Bibi Netanyahu say. Israel seems to be adamant that as long as Hamas is in power, that Israel will not agree to a final settlement with Gaza. And a lot of people are upset with that. But from Israel's point of view, they don't want to live next door to a group of people who are dedicated to Israel's destruction. They've repeated many times that they'll do another October 7th. They'll cross the border. They'll murder and rape as they've done already. So Israel feels the only way they'll have peace and closure is to finally defeat Hamas, and that will ultimately liberate the Palestinian people in Gaza as well.
Harley, what is happening that this messaging is not resonating with people? I understand exactly what you're saying. Listen, we don't want a ceasefire deal with somebody who's dedicated to killing us. You guys know that they're only using this time to regroup. What aren't you understanding? Why is that not being communicated?
It's a great question because a lot of people are just tired of the war. They're fatigued. And I think they just want it to end. They said, get your hostages back. You've defeated Hamas. Do you really need to utterly and totally, completely defeat them? Gaza is rubble. There's nothing left there. Israel won. Just declare victory and get your hostages back. So that's the other school of thought. And those two schools of thought are banging heads together. And out of that is going to come some type of solution.
And Harry, you talked about, Harley, exhaustion and fatigue, because I remember somewhere, and you know where I'm going with this quote, how Americans tell time with watches, but other groups don't use that way to tell time. And it seems as though they really depend on, they being Hamas and these organizations, they depend on others being exhausted by this and maybe favor falling out with Israel?
Spot on with your comment and observation. That is exactly the strategy of our enemies, including Russia with Ukraine. They all think that they've got stronger perseverance than we do. They think they will outlast us, and that is going to be critical. So I think it takes leadership in the United States for this nation to realize, and for Israel and for the Israeli people to understand that the conflict's going to go on a long time, that they have to be prepared for it to last as long as necessary. And that's very hard for people who are used to the comforts that people have in the West. So I think that is where the message has to be conveyed in a way that prepares people in the United States and the West, which is true also of Ukraine, that we have to stay on the right path and outlast our enemies.
And Harley, you are completely aware that Prime Minister Netanyahu does not operate free of criticism of his own. The New York Times Magazine released an investigative piece on Mr. Netanyahu spanning 6 months with interviews from more than 100 people. Now, the piece takes a look at events leading up to the October 7th attacks to now, saying many times that Mr. Netanyahu chose personal interest in maintaining power over what was best for Israel. I would love to get your reaction to that.
I've heard that a lot. That's widely debated in Israel and a source of enormous contention. So yes, there are people who feel that he's delaying the war because he doesn't want to be held accountable. After all, he was the prime minister when the war started, so he is ultimately responsible for that. And he's also afraid of a trial and ultimately possibly going to jail. So for those reasons, people feel he's delaying it. On the other hand, if you listen to his words, 84 times he did say that he's fighting this war for two goals: to free the hostages and to utterly and totally defeat Hamas. So if you accept that point of view, he's on course because he knows that he has to defeat Hamas if he wants to achieve the peace that he thinks that will accomplish.
Harley, can I ask you this on a personal note? What conversations do you have with friends or with family members or those who are directly affected, who have family members who are still being held captive? How do you provide them comfort, or how do you give them counsel?
I have those conversations a lot. I actually had a couple stay in my home here just a little more than a week ago. They were held hostage in Gaza. They recently got married, actually. And with my family, we were wondering what to say or what to do. All we could do is show them love, be there for them, show compassion, be patient, help them through the future. These people went through hell, and we feel very helpless. But Israel has a great social net where they really take care of their own in this way. And these people are being provided the best care, both physically and emotionally, one can get. So we all take relief and satisfaction from that.
Harley, I want to thank you so much for sharing that personal note with us, because we never want this to be lost as just a story. There are still families who are struggling to have their loved ones return home. Harley Lippman, thank you so much.
Thank you.